Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the schmoes know, this is Guilty Movie Pleasures. In-depth discussion on movies, no matter how guilty they make you feel.
And here we are on Guilty Movie Pleasures.
I have the power!
Is this Superman? It's Super He-Man.
He-Man. Yeah, that makes more sense.
The composer that composed Superman's brother's friend, who's also in Hollywood, composed this theme song. No, it's actually a legit composer.
Yeah, it's the guy that did Rocky.
Yeah.
And it's clearly... Anyways, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Welcome to Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Much like the movie, we forgot to do introductions of the main characters.
I'm Josh Macuga, at Josh Macuga on Twitter. You guys know the man to my left here.
God,
his name is Ben Begley.
What do I star in?
His movie coming out in a few weeks is called Love, You So Special.
I feel like that was a little too close to last week's where it was like, ain't that love?
This for love. It's what I do.
What accent was that?
Just trying out some new stuff.
I've heard that accent on a Hallmark
Oh,
movie.
man, I would recommend never trying that accent again. It was like a lazy Sean Connery.
Yeah, that's what it was.
What the hell do? Or a lazy Robert Carlyle.
And to Ben's left,
Trainspotting.
You guys know him as the producer, director, editor of Between the Sheets, a big movie buff, big TV fan. Thad Williams is back. Good friend of the show.
Yeah.
He also designed the website to a couple web series that we did. And it looked
that's
dynamite.
right.
He did the 24 minutes one that
Which
I
was
did.
a great web series.
And Clueless, the one that my wife wrote.
Yeah.
And everybody, when they see these sites, they're like, holy shit, who did this?
Super talented guy.
Yeah.
That's probably like, fuck you. Now people are going to hit me up about that
it's all
again.
good.
No, but everybody, we go way back. I had known him for a year before ever meeting him in person.
Yeah, we spoke on the phone. You
On
sent
phone and
money to
emails,
me,
and I sent him money.
And we had actually never met in person.
That's how most great friendships start.
yeah.
That's how the Russian mail order bride business was
Just PayPal.
created.
Yeah, exactly. He's my Russian mail order bride.
And we
Minus any of the.
Well, it's like in Orange is the New Black. It's been a
I haven't
tumultuous
watched that
relationship.
show.
Really?
I know. I've only seen one
That'd be
episode.
right up your alley.
It's good.
I know.
It's real good.
I gotta give my wife certain shows that she can watch when I'm not around, because otherwise she's like, we watch everything together. So I was like, all right, that one.
One of those relationships.
Yeah.
Give her the girl show.
Give it a girl.
It's the lady
Ladies.
business.
No, but the one episode I saw was fantastic. Anyways.
Randomly, just like a random one episode?
Yeah, I watched one random episode and I was like, I could get into this.
like episode 7
I think it was like
season
episode
2?
5 of season 1 or something.
All right.
I was like, they were putting on like a play or something.
You sound like my mom. Like, I watched that one episode of Mad Men in season 4. It's great.
They smoked a lot of cigarettes and they talked about advertising. I could get into this. The men were so handsome.
Great hair. It was always combed perfectly.
Before we started, we took a drink at the exact same time, and we just did it again. It's like we're a hive mind. We're what is it? Rifting? Is that what it's called in Pacific Rim? When you do the rift, what is it? Rift? Oh shit!
I never saw
what
that
is
whole
it?
movie all the way through.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That's a great
Really?
one.
With Charlie-
We should do that.
Charlie
on this.
Hunnam.
Yeah.
Audience,
They're
if you
doing
want
the
to,
sequel.
if you want us to
Really?
do Pacific Rim, tweet at Josh Macuga to keep bugging him because I would love to do that movie.
All right, we'll do it.
Although it may not be on Netflix.
No,
which
it's on
means
HBO for sure. I
Okay,
see it
perfect.
on there all the time.
Anyways, what are we here for?
We are here today.
What if we just wasted the last 4 minutes
Well,
not talking about
we'll waste you another 35 if you keep listening.
Oh, God.
We talked for a while, like the last couple days, trying to figure out. We were trying to get Con Air, but Ben
Somebody
had thought.
stole my copy of it. I had it on Blu-ray.
I know the fans have been asking for us
more.
to do Con Air, and we will do Con Air at some point because I am a big fan of that movie and think it's.
Just got to track another
Yeah,
copy.
it's
Whoever
a-
stole that copy hopefully got arrested, and then we'll steal a plane
Yeah,
to return the copy to you. Yeah.
and just destroy old Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's
man.
amazing. Nicolas Cage's best accent work by far in that
Best
movie.
hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
his hair.
It's the hair to acting ratio. Cage.
He has like the same voice, but it's kind of.
I would like to come back to you. And
like
he's like Forrest Gump, sort of.
He's
but
sort of
Nicolas Cage-
Forrest Gump, but he can kill people.
We're gonna have to get back to that when we do
my
Con Air.
God.
But it goes to.
For now, we're doing He-Man. That's my Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, it's a pretty good Dolph.
Where every line of his seems 80 yard in this movie.
Well,
fact.
we're gonna have to.
Go ahead, Fred.
Fun fact.
Was it?
They were going to ADR all of it
whole
because
thing.
he barely knew English. It was only the second film he had done after Rocky.
Wow.
And then he put in his contract that he was going to get 3 tries in the ADR booth before they redubbed it. And they ended up just using his stuff because they ran out of money to hire somebody else to do the voice.
Yep.
What?
That's why, half of it looks like there's a couple scenes that actually look like a bad improv class.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because of the ADR.
And I feel like this movie hurt a lot of people's careers because so the guy that played the girl that played Tila, who was like the hot good girl.
Even as a child, I remember I had the book that you could get with the movie book that you could buy in the stores. And I remember I was too young to understand what it meant, but I would stare at that photo for a very long, and I just remember being
I did that with He-Man a lot.
This body is amazing. She has a crazy body.
Oh, she's so hot. And
she's a crazy body.
Evil-Lyn, I think is super hot.
Very inventive name, by the way. I did not know which side she was on.
I know it was not overt at all. Is she good? Is she bad?
After all, made from a toy line.
Yeah.
But the Evil-Lyn, Meg Foster, I think is her name. She was in They Live, which we did when you weren't here, and she's so good in that. She has these crazy piercing eyes that they're just awesome.
Awesome. Well, I mean, listen,
best eyes.
We always like to talk about the first time we saw this movie because my brother was a huge collector of the toys.
The movie is Masters of the Universe, in case everyone missed that part.
It's right here.
It's right there. It's on the title.
Masters of the Universe. A live-action motion picture.
of the Universe.
I mean, Dolph, he's a golden god. And
listen,
basically
wearing his underwear the whole time.
If you're gonna
and a weird kind of like stripper like lingerie like
thing.
bondage lingerie the whole time. I mean, I know it's very similar to the cartoon, but when you put that on a real person, it's off-putting.
Nah, for sure.
It's super strange.
And if a man shows up into your town and he's just wearing that, you're like,
unless you're Courteney Cox, in which case you just go with it.
Just go with it. But
in all of these movies, Howard the Duck just went with it.
When the monsters break in, the guy's like, "Hey, get out of here! Get out of here!" As if some rapscallions came in and were trashing his kitchen. It's like, no, there's a fucking wolf creature.
Local youths.
But back to Dolph though. In the beginning, one of the first fight sgescenes where he frees Gwildor, they have
which, by the way, this sounds like what should we name?
It sounds like Gwildor.
They look
Gesundheit.
There's a door. Will you go through it? But no, there's a shot when Dolph Lundgren is fighting in the beginning. There's a close up of his nipple.
Yeah,
and it's like, what? Why is there a nipple shot?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So weird.
It's for me.
His hair
coming from a dad
amazing.
Who definitely was, when we bought toys, he was always like, all right, what's this toy? I'm surprised he wasn't like, what's this guy?
I did not own any He-Man toys partially for that reason.
Dev, the kids are really into shirtless men.
And they never established that in the cartoon he had an alter ego. He-Man was like a superhero ego, and it was...
what was his name, Dave Robertson?
Jonathan, can you look that up? What was He-Man's alter ego? It was something really, and there was always the joke that his alter ego was a little bit more effeminate and kind of weak.
Yeah.
And then when he became He-Man, so he had this superhero alter ego and all this.
Well, in the
lore that's in the animated series
on TV Funhouse and Saturday Night Live, they would always, or some of these other, they would always pull out the really homoerotic stuff. That He-Man did.
Big time.
What was his name? It was I'm gonna remember it immediately, and I'm gonna be so pissed at myself.
If you can read that, I'd be shocked.
I can. He-Man. And also, can we just talk about the name He-Man?
Alter ego of Prince Adam.
Prince Adam. That's it. Prince Adam. Hi, Prince Adam.
Next year, the Grand Marshal of the West Hollywood Gay Pride Parade.
Prince Adam.
Prince Adam.
So, can we just talk about He-Man, the name first?
Sure, go.
We
can do whatever you want. It's your show.
He literally means a man.
Yeah.
So it's same thing as calling him guy dude or
person male
or mailman, and then MALE.
His female counterpart was She-Ra.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of why wasn't she woman?
Because she was so attractive that
she was just She-Ra. That was her. That was his cousin though, or something.
Was there a live action She-Ra? There was, right?
No, there never was.
They talked about her, putting her in the first movie and cut it, and then the sequel never happened.
Well, because go ahead.
She-Ra also ruined the He-Man cartoon because all the animators went to that, and the animation on Masters of the Universe started falling, and people started watching She-Ra, and they just ended up canceling Masters of the Universe. I read that somewhere, and I believe everything I read.
Yeah.
It could be completely bullshit.
Sounds legitimate.
Now, For me, the first time I saw this movie, like I said, my brother and I were obsessed with He-Man.
Again, we just drank.
That wasn't even intent. I wasn't even looking at you.
I saw the break and I took it.
There we go.
And so we went to see this in the theater. Our parents took us to see it in the theater. I remember being in the theater. I mean, it was
when did this come out?
1987. I was 5. My brother was 7, or 8, I think. And I remember being in the theater and us walking out and Ben being like, "That was a perfect movie." It was, and I just can imagine my mom and dad being like, "What was that?"
Oh God! Thank God it's over. Thank God it's over.
Yeah. Because
Mom, can I dress as Gwildor for Halloween?
I think if I asked to be dressed as He-Man for Halloween and I came out, my mom and dad were like, "This might be a little weird by the neighbors."
It's winter time. Yeah. You might want to put on some clothes.
Did you guys? When do you remember the first time you saw it?
I do, because it was this morning.
Oh, yeah.
At about
7 a.m.
I'd never seen it. No, wow. I didn't watch the cartoon either. I was never like in the He-Man circle.
What cartoons did you watch?
Probably I'd say Turtles.
Turtles was great.
I watched G.I. Joe like it was my job.
Definitely watched G.I.
Joe, Turtles, and X-Men were my jam.
Yeah, little X-Men, little Batman animated series.
Oh yeah, Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we were a He-Man family.
I don't remember. I think I saw it on video. I don't remember in theaters. That's for sure. But I remember being obsessed with this movie and thinking Skeletor was so creepy and thinking all the villains and stuff were really scary because I was young and. All these creatures. I remember I had all the toys. The lizard guy.
Oh, it squirt.
It spit sparks. You flick the back and he spit sparks. It was awesome.
The
and I
only
remember
problem with that toy though is you had to replace that flint like every 8 flicks of the switch.
Really, I never had to replace it.
Oh man,
I think it still works.
Really?
Maybe you just had a defective.
Well, then there was one that you could press it. You pressed it. Then one spit water. Do you remember the guy that spit water?
Yeah, there's like a lizard guy. There's also one like Moss Man or something that smelled really weird, like a old guy's cologne or something.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And I remember every once in a while I'll catch a whiff of that from something in the world, and I'll be like, Moss Man. It's just so weird. It's like every hashtag Moss Man. It's so weird.
Yeah.
These like sense of smells you have, and those toys were awesome. I mean, then they had the He-Man figures where you remember the ones that had the spinning chest where you'd punch it and it would get battle damage.
Yes.
I thought that was the coolest thing when I was a kid.
Awesome.
Dude, their toys were legit.
I still have all of them. I still have my Castle Grayskull and my Snake Mountain.
Now here's the thing: is we're coming in hot today. You guys. Yeah,
Snake Mountain sounds like. They're in New Mexico in storage, but
why do you have storage in New Mexico?
My parents live there now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are they Breaking Bad?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they store my He-Man figures and they cook heroin and meth.
Good.
Cook heroin.
Yeah, that's what kids are doing.
They're cooking all the heroin.
I just shoved my hand that I've only seen the pilot of. I've only seen the pilot of Breaking Bad. I need to watch the rest.
Jesus, you're like.
I figured you watched like season 3, episode 17.
Yeah, I've seen the pilot and then season 5, episode 2.
I've only seen I only saw the Fly episode. And it was really weird.
Super great.
I've only seen the DVD extras of season 2. It's weird.
The blooper reel.
Yeah.
Should we do the plot?
Do you want to do the plot?
Is there a plot? Was there a plot in this movie?
There was somewhat of a plot.
There was a plot.
It's rough.
Yeah. Okay. In 5 seconds, we'll do it in under 3 minutes.
Okay.
In 3.
Who's starting?
You Ben.
Oh God.
1. Begley.
So we start off and we're in Eternia, and Skeletor's being all evil and stuff, and he's trying to. He has this goddess in like a force field, and then this Gwildor is being dragged by these fake stormtroopers, and then He-Man comes in and saves, and you find this cosmic key that just looks like this really random Japanese instrument.
It looks like the Predator weapon.
Yeah, it looks like a Predator weapon. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then they open up a portal and get to Earth. Did I miss something? I don't know.
No, that's pretty much it.
Skeletor needs both keys. He wants both keys or none at all.
Yeah,
you know?
and this key can get them to a place where they can help the sorceress, because if on the moon rise,
the full moon or something,
the moon rise, she loses all her power, and then Skeletor
can go to him. It can transfer to him.
Of him, exactly. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, so
they get to Earth.
They get to Earth, and then they go to a rib joint in the middle of the town, where Courteney Cox works,
and we figure out it's California. Basically,
we figure out it's California. She's moving to Jersey because she very subtly drops that she's going to go to the cemetery to say hi to her parents, because her parents are dead.
And Eternians don't eat meat, apparently.
Eternians are all vegetarians, except the one guy who's just like, whatever, I'll just
man at arms.
I mean, hey, I'm just gonna eat it. I wouldn't know his name because they never fucking told me his name.
They do twice. Man at arms, they call him.
But later. Not when they should have.
Yeah.
So she and her boyfriend, who's Lieutenant Paris from Voyager.
Yes.
Minute and a half still.
Yeah. Go. They go and they find the key that's in the cemetery
where
their parents
fucking
are.
around
He's
with
like,
it.
he's like, it's buttons. Ooh, look at this. Look at this.
And then that signals Skeletor to be like, oh, and he sends out the worst bounty hunters ever.
He's
the
like,
4 worst bounty hunters.
Get Beast Guy, weird face, long hair, Blade,
lame pirate guy,
and then Lady Girl,
And then they go there, and they're so bad they can't even catch Courteney Cox.
No.
But they do catch the entire school gym on fire.
They just blow up the whole gym.
1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Okay, and then basically they go back and say they failed, and then of course the cop who's trying to find him.
He's a teacher from Back to the Future.
He plays the thing again, and so it's just a repetitive thing where then Skeletor comes with everybody.
Oh, we found him again. Some idiot must be just pressing buttons. So now everybody comes because these bounty hunters screwed up. They come down and they destroy that music shop.
Big ridiculous battle.
The only store that's open that night.
Exactly.
40 seconds.
They capture He-Man and they bring He-Man back to Castle Grayskull. Eternia in Castle Grayskull. And meanwhile that's going on, they realize that Gwildor can get it working again, but the guy has to be the best keyboardist ever.
Because he remembers the tune.
Then that whole thing, the key takes him to Castle Grayskull, and it's like an old setup, like they just ripped off half the Earth, set in Castle Grayskull. There's a fight.
15 seconds.
Skeletor gets the power and he turns into the guy from Big Trouble Little China at the end.
10 seconds.
He and He-Man have a battle royale with everybody. They beat them. He-Man gets them back. They travel back in time. Courteney Cox's parents are still alive.
1.
I have the power!
Yeah, way to bring it home.
Well done, sir.
Woo!
Well done.
That was like watching a madman. It was fantastic. I think from here on out, we should drag it out and then
let me finish.
Let you finish.
You've got 45 seconds to tell us the entire plot.
Because you've done that to me. You've done that to me before, and it's stressful, right? Where your brain's like, don't leave anything out. Don't leave anything out from this masterpiece.
Okay, let's go into some plot holes. I know you guys.
Oh God,
some. All right, yeah, we can find a few.
First off, the whole movie feels like a Star Wars ripoff. Like there's stormtroopers, Skeletor's Darth Vader.
Yes.
He even dies like Darth Vader. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, he falls into a pit
for either Return of the Jedi or He-Man, depending on which one.
Yeah. Oh man, if you haven't seen either, then you're a terrible human being.
You're just in trouble.
You're a terrible human being, or my wife, and she's not a terrible human being. She just hasn't seen either.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Catch 22.
My fiance hasn't either. That's fair. Okay, so best part at the very beginning was Dolph Lundgren's introduction as He-Man, because they do the whole Skeletor thing, and then He-Man's like looking up at the sky, this like broadcast message where Skeletor just says, "I own the world."
Yeah, all of a sudden
and He-Man just goes, okay. And then starts off in a battle. It was like it wasn't like a big swelling score of like, this is He-Man.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, well, that sucks.
Yeah,
that's
maybe I should do something about it.
I feel like that's the MO for the entire movie. The whole movie is kind of like,
yeah.
All right. We're sending these bounty hunters. Oh, there's a girl. We didn't get her. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. We're just going to come in and just start shooting immediately.
Were there laser guns in the cartoons? No. There were in Star Wars. That worked.
Yeah. We'll do that. And
He-Man here, Courteney Cox, here's a laser gun. Defend yourself. She's like, duh. All of a sudden, she's a sharpshooter, for Christ's sake.
Everybody fires guns really awkward. Tila, as hot as she is, when she's like, you need a woman. We'll play that. I'll just play that sound clip real quick. The woman one. What is it? Woman at arms.
Number 5.
Anyway, it sounded like you needed a woman's touch out here.
She looks almost in the camera.
Oh no, she does.
Woman at arms.
Woman at arms. But the way she hops up and fires so badass is like this. She's like. It looks like a toddler shooting a squirt gun for the first time.
Because, all of those effects, are obviously in post, so they're holding just plastic guns going like, pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, but you could still hold it like it's a gun, not like, you can't aim like that. Try aiming like, you don't even play a carnival game where you're trying to race with the squirt gun like that, like.
I will never insult Bruce Willis ever because he's our finest actor in the history of America. But he does shoot a gun really weird. In the movie Striking Distance, you notice it the most because he's on a boat and you just go like...
He just squints a lot?
Squints a lot and shooting the gun like this, right? So basically that's what Tila does with this. She's like...
It's like when I saw Terminator Genesis this weekend, Amelia Clarke, who that. I thought she did great. But anyways, whenever she fires the gun, she's so little and the gun's so huge, she's like... oh shit! The gun! It's so amazing.
Lots of kickback.
Khaleesi.
Was that the only one that noticed Courteney Cox was wearing the same outfit from the Springsteen music video?
Yes.
Jean jacket.
The jean jacket.
Yeah.
She was cute, man.
Yeah.
And how about the sorceress played her mother in Friends?
Yeah. I did read that.
What?
The sorceress in this movie, the woman that's dying next to Skeletor, that's got in the force field, that's her mom in Friends.
She's Mrs. Geller.
She's Mrs. Geller.
So I wonder if it's because they had such a connection with Masters of the Universe.
Like, we gotta reteam this.
Yes.
Here's my first. God, there's so many. This grappling hook that appears so many times.
Yes. What? Where the fuck did it come from?
We never see it being shot from anything.
Yeah. No, you never see it. You never see it until
where the fuck did
see,
that
we had the same thing.
Yeah.
I said, in mine, I just said, what did I say?
Like, at least in Indiana Jones, he can take the whip. You know where the whip is coming from. He whips his hat and it comes back. Or he whips something. He grabs his hat under the thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
I clearly
laser whip at the end was kind of cool, though.
Laser whip was
I clearly talk text this into my phone because it says, and how food the dwarf is with the grappling hook. I think it's supposed to be in how good the dwarf, because that's the thing. They go into a portal. How does he shoot it to aim perfectly to pick up the key through a portal?
Well, listen, he's Gwilmore.
Yeah.
But
Gwildor. Gwilmore is his friend.
He reminds me of Gimli from Lord of the Rings, but more annoying. And when he brings the cosmic key back, he's so good at latching onto it, but then they lose it.
As soon as there's a lot of kickback through time and space.
They go through this portal, and then all of a sudden, it's like they were dropped over D-Day as the plane was exploding, like in Band of Brothers, and they all land like, we don't know where we are, but we are somewhere in occupied Germany.
And then they all laugh at him.
Yeah.
They laugh at the troll.
Gwildor just, when he plugs his nose and sprays the water out of his ears, and they're like, I would be more like, that's disgusting.
Classic.
Your
Gwildor.
ears have to be filthy, and I got earwax water in my mouth.
So they rip it out, the portal. The key just lands in the cemetery because they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And these kids find it, Courteney Cox and the boyfriend, and the first thing they're just like,
This has to be one of those Japanese synthesizers.
It's like
in a cemetery.
It looks like a keytar.
And by the way, the theme it plays is oddly really similar to the Garbage Pail Kids theme. Where it's like, send the kids back in the pail. Boom. I was like, holy shit, that's the Garbage Pail Kids theme. I was going to record them back to back, but I didn't want to put you through that again. I thought you might just like start foaming at the mouth.
I appreciate that.
Pass out.
A little tidbit on the key. They made 3 of them. The prop masters had to be on hand at all times because the key kept breaking. It was so fragile, and there's still 3 in existence, and they say they're worth about $6,000 a piece.
Here's the thing. Of course they broke easily. Gwildor is just hammering away. He claims he has these like very specific coordinates, but it's more like, I'm working. And he's just like, I'm working on it, I promise. But he's just like hitting. That's a pretty good Gwildor.
That's really good.
I mean, that's a killer Gwildor.
Can you play this clip number 2? That was really good.
Help somebody!
Help somebody!
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Really
Little
good
did you
work,
know that
baby.
I went back in time and recorded the voice for Gwildor. Oh my God. There's so much.
Okay, so here's, obviously there's, she's working in the fast food place. It's like an amazing part.
I got a real fun fact about that.
Go.
I don't know if you read that one. That fast food joint where they filmed that apparently is the parking lot of the Rodney King beating.
Oh!
Thad Williams, everybody.
Not corroborated. I just read one fact about it. I'm taking it at its face value.
As is.
It
was going on while they were filming,
like
too.
An interview with a production designer 20 years later said, "Oh yeah, that's where Rodney King got beat up." So
it's amazing.
That's a movie history tour you really want to take. Yeah.
They offer that on Hollywood Highland. You get on a hop on hop off bus tour to go there.
It's actually a hop on 18-wheeler. Just don't. You guys bringing it back to Reginald Denny? Remember he was pulled out of a...
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Bad form. Oof. Moving on. So her parents own a plane that they just like take to Catalina on the time being, but their kid has to work at a fast food joint.
Yes, so she doesn't
I was
go.
a little confused about.
And then she's guilty that she didn't die in the plane crash with him.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Also, when we were talking about when the school gets caught on fire, it takes forever for any firefighters or police to respond. There's like
to anything in the whole movie. Is they're in a small town in wherever. They only have one cop that responds to anything. They literally blow up a local store. Nobody calls the cops. No cops show up. And then when they do show up, they're like, "You stupid idiot! There's no army. It's just a flaming store. It's just on fire.
They've been around here."
Yeah. Nobody believes the poor friggin' guy.
God, well, he doesn't. That's because he disbelieves.
And then his ending in the movie, spoiler alert, he's like, "I'm living in Slutsville eternity.
I'm in Caligula.
Awesome.
Yeah. Check out this slut they just gave me." What's
And they're all
thing?
friends with him. Like he was like, "I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna fuck you up." And then they're like, "This is great."
All he needed to do is get laid by some Eternia sluts.
Yeah,
that is a good point though. Like he's like, "I got a beautiful lady." It's like you guys have been here for like maybe a couple hours,
and they've got him.
How did you already get robed and just concubines?
Like up on the dais, like he's has
Prince
power.
bald guy.
Yeah.
And he's dressed like a space pimp.
And he's
really.
been a dick the whole movie.
Whole movie.
Just because he shot a few of the fake stormtroopers with a shotgun, they're like, "Hey, you're Eternia material."
Let me tell you a little something.
Let me tell you something.
You going somewhere,
got Moxie, kid.
You got Moxie, kid. Buy war bonds.
I also love that the lasers were impenetrable to that brick wall from Earth.
Yeah,
like the set, because when they come back, when they get to eternity at the end, they take like a set piece with them that conveniently gives them enough spots to hide under.
Yes,
like half of a car, and then like a jagged brick wall.
Wait, I thought it looked like the part in Demolition Man.
Yeah,
when, you know, the underground.
I was just gonna say.
I thought it was a set piece from like HBO Young Comedians in 1986, but
comic relief.
Yeah. But yeah,
it does look like a bad SNL sketch.
They shoot all the lasers at it, and it's just like pew.
That happens all the time though in the 80s in like the cartoons and in movies. Like lasers mean nothing. It's like just get a better form of weaponry.
But one hit from He-Man's sword and those guys like implode.
When they have the flying Centurions, which are like really lame hoverboard guys.
They're obviously on strings. Just
who have like zero gravity. Laws of physics. They're like flipping upside down.
And he hits the one and he just explodes.
Yeah.
And Lundgren looking around on his
so good.
Is amazing acting.
Yeah.
Oh,
anytime Lundgren smiles in this movie, it creeps me out. In the beginning, when he's like, "Sheila, good to see you." I'm like, oh god, it just feels so weird,
so creepy. Maybe it's because he's running around in his underwear.
Yes.
Yeah, and his nipples are getting close-ups, extreme close-ups.
He's barely got any clothes, and the first thing he does when he sees Monica, he's like, "Here's my robe. Take this.
Take more of my clothes. I'm wearing too much already."
I gotta strip down.
There's more
before I can
Stallone,
fight.
but
it's
tough.
Well, I like that. They need to save the world with his keyboarding ability, and he's. I think we have the clip of.
There's only.
Oh yeah.
What
only
clip
one.
is it?
It's called "Only One of You."
Only One of You.
Look, you've got the wrong song maker, Gwildor. All right, I'm just a stupid keyboard player in a high school band. There's a million of me.
Only one of you, Kevin. Only one of anybody.
Now that's some good 80s movie.
Gwildor really coming in hot
dropping
with
some knowledge.
Some great knowledge. And he's like, don't worry about it. I know where there's keyboards at that store we just exploded.
I'm sure there's one that didn't. Can you imagine when he goes back to Charlie and Charlie's like, "Hey, you fucked up my entire store," and he's like, "All right, yeah, I know, but I'm just gonna steal this keyboard too."
I need a keyboard real quick. I gotta go save the world. We'll just when I come back, we'll just figure out this.
I was really hoping they were gonna cut to Charlie's reaction to that, being like, "What are you? What? No, leave me the fuck alone.
You look what you did to my store."
It's what you get for being the only store open in that sleepy town at 10 p.m.
Yeah. You're asking for riffraff. You're asking for alien destructive forces to come through.
He goes to Charlie's. The kid does. Jonathan or whatever his name is. What's his name? Kevin
Corrigan.
Kevin Corrigan. Oh, it's a good looking kid.
I think is the name of an actor.
Sounds like one.
Sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, Charlie knows." And then the cop's like, "I bet somebody knows about this. Got to be that Charlie guy. Like Charlie's the foremost authority in town.
He's the only music guy.
Yeah,
he's the only music guy.
Charlie will know about this strange Japanese instrument."
And then they put. How about the scene where they put that torture device on Kevin's neck?
It's like the
truth neck.
Yeah, it's like Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, but it's a giant like necklace.
And it makes him. And then when it's finally off, he's like, "Oh, I didn't recognize any of you guys. This is crazy."
Apparently, it just makes you.
Who are you? Go
put
away.
You in this trance. Oh, it's so ridiculous.
What other clips do we have in here?
What do we have?
A great example of Frank Langella's acting ability. Apparently, he actually wrote this line himself. Clip J, please.
Where are your friends now? Tell me about the loneliness of good, He-Man. Is it equal to the loneliness of evil?
You kind of feel bad for him in that moment.
Like, but when you isolate just that clip, he's clearly doing Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah. He is Emperor Palpatine.
The whole thing is a ripoff.
Yeah.
The loneliness of evil.
If you look, I paused it a couple times because it was loading on my computer, but a couple of the close-ups, you can actually see his nose poking through the makeup, like his actual
There's
nose.
a couple times where he breathes and his cheeks move like it's rubber, and you're like, I don't think skulls work that way. Or he's like, I will kill you, He-Man.
I also loved the makeup for the troll because it was so thick that he couldn't actually open his mouth as he's talking. So
Frank Langella could barely either.
So how are you doing over there?
Like, we have to do this.
All of the costumes in this movie and just killed the actors. The guy who played Blade, his outfit was 50 pounds or more. He said at the end of most shoot days, he was he was pulling out water from his boot because he had sweated so much in his feet. The guy that played the Beastmaster guy that they sent over there.
Oh yeah.
He couldn't, they had to put it in, his teeth were too big for him to close his mouth, so he would just his mouth would open and he would just drool down his face all day long, and they would have to keep putting water in his mouth because he was getting dehydrated from drooling so much.
That happens when I'm on this show sometimes.
Oh yeah, we're talking. Dolph Lundgren calls this movie the worst movie set he's ever been on, but then while he was being interviewed for the first Expendable, the second Expendables, whatever, which one he started in, he was like, I'd go be He-Man again for sure. He's like, well, now that I don't have any work.
Yeah, obviously. Now that the Expendables is the only movie I'm in.
Well, according to Wikipedia, the Schmoes Know crew has broken some news about this over the past few years, where they actually are working on a reboot.
Oh yeah,
it's a couple people are writing and directing about it.
Interesting.
I would love to see a new He-Man and see what they do with it. Yeah. It could either be amazing or even worse than this.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the studio that did this movie, they'd done some interesting riskier stuff in the early 80s, and then they got all these superhero properties, and in 87 they released their two big tent poles that were going to catapult them into the 90s. Superman 4, A Quest for Peace, and Masters of the Universe.
Which Superman 4, the villain in that seems like a He-Man ripoff.
He glows the whole damn time.
And so they lost so much money on them that they scrapped the sequel and ended up using the sets to make Cyborg, which you guys watched a couple weeks ago.
To make Cyborg.
Yeah, we talked about that. Remember? It was He-Man, and then also Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, because they had the rights to Spider-Man. They did the Captain America.
It was going to be called Master Universe 2 Cyborg.
Yeah, and then they kind of rewrote it or whatever. Because then the Captain America movie that came out in 92.
Yeah. I have on Blu-ray. It's also atrocious.
It's atrocious. They didn't actually
end up Captain America.
Some dude.
Somebody. I mean, it's like this, but without any stars.
Wow.
And they only released it on video after their bankruptcy filing. It ruined those two movies.
But
ruined that company.
The Red Skull is better in the 90s Captain America than in the newest one.
Well, all right.
Because in the new one, it looks like a Skittle. He's just this shiny red Skittle head.
Shiny and red.
That's true.
Who, if you had a He-Man made today, who would you like to see play He-Man?
Ooh.
I mean, you can't get Thor because he's already Thor, but he would be the alternate.
And apparently the guy that directed this movie based a lot of the film on some of the old Jack Kirby Thor comics and stuff, which is why it feels like a total.
You could do Chris Hemsworth. He could do it. He could be in it, right?
In his third superhero franchise.
Yeah. Come on, Ben.
He can handle it.
Let's think outside the box.
He was in Fantastic Four, and now he's Captain America.
What if you
died?
No,
you're Chris Evans.
I'm sorry. Yes.
What if you?
I was like, what?
Chris Hemsworth.
Which Fantastic Four did you see?
Yeah.
Which?
No, that's a good point, though.
That would be a good Fantastic Four.
What if you took Joe Manganiello and dyed his hair blonde?
Who?
The guy from Magic Mike.
Yeah, and True Blood.
And True Blood.
Yeah.
I have yet to see. I didn't watch True Blood. I've only seen him in that movie Sabotage with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he came off as the worst actor on the planet.
Oh
in that
no,
movie.
it's not that bad.
I've actually only
Sabotage
seen him in
is one of the worst movies.
And he was good in that.
Yeah, he was great in True Blood.
I would love to see him in something other than Sabotage because it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
He's playing. Oh no. That's Momoa. I was thinking. I mean Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
He did Conan,
and he's doing. He's going to be Aquaman.
And he's Aquaman. Yeah.
I'm still not happy.
I'm trying to think of who else is big, because you got to get some guy that's big like Ivan Drago.
Yeah. I mean, you could do. Would Tatum do it? I don't know.
No.
Channing Tatum, He-Man?
No.
That makes a lot of sense.
No, not at all. I don't think so. He's got Channing Tatum's got like a weird face. I don't take him.
He's the most gorgeous man in the world.
I know, but I mean,
I agree. He does not have that Adonis.
I meant in my head. I meant weird face for He-Man. It's like He-Man has to have like this.
He's got to be like perfect if he's going to be He-Man, basically.
Because Dolph Lundgren looks like a good He-Man.
Yeah.
But then he talks, and it ruins everything.
Well, you can see how hard it is for him to try and speak non-Swedish, and it's affecting his acting, obviously, because he's not pulling it off. I mean, I personally, listen, I know you guys per se didn't like this movie. It's definitely a guilty movie pleasure.
The problem for me watching it this time is I had to watch it in chunks because I was busy the last couple of days, and so I didn't get to fully like just sit back and invest. It was more like I was like, oh, there's still 20 minutes. Jesus, I got to get out of here. I got to go do the show.
Right.
But looking at it through my child eyes, like child Ben, it was still a lot of fun. It is a terrible film, though. But it's fun for the nostalgia of it, for sure.
Terrible?
Yeah. Okay, it's not terrible.
Okay, do you think this is better than Flash Gordon or vice versa?
I think it's just boring is the problem. It's a little boring when you're an adult.
It's not
watching
over the top enough for it to be fun and enjoyable to watch. Like you watch a Ninja Turtles.
I mean, it's pretty over the top when like they come in like Nazi stormtroopers.
But it doesn't have the kind of one-liners.
It takes itself too seriously. That's the issue.
It doesn't have the kind of kid and I was reading that they kind of nixed a lot of that stuff because they're like comic books are for kids.
Right.
You know, like they tried to make it more serious.
Yeah, that's the issue. It takes itself way too seriously.
It doesn't have those, except for the one time that she looks right at the camera and is like,
woman in arms.
Other than that, there's no other like
you
winking
break the
nods.
fourth wall one time in a movie, it just
yeah, it's a little weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
You can't.
What do you got?
What else do we got? I was just going to say that Eternia, you never actually see what Eternia looks like, except a couple like things that look like a desert landscape.
Yeah.
And then there's the random soldiers that apparently are fighting for the good guys, but never do anything.
Yeah, Eternia doesn't look like that great of a place until the bald cop is like, oh my God, kid!
Apparently the only good part of Eternia is Castle Grayskull.
Yes.
And they never really show Snake Mountain.
No, they don't. And I read that they completely cut that from the script because they didn't have the money for it. The original script was only on Earth. They didn't even show Eternia. And then they like the director begged them for enough money to shoot.
And back to the sluts thing real quick. If you were a stripper, Eternia would be a great name for a stripper.
Eternia is a great name for a strip club.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you guys want to go to Eternia tonight?
Vegas.
Coming up next.
Coming up next is Tila.
Song 2.
Tila at arms. Woman at arms. Check out those biceps.
Gwildor.
Gwildor. Just throw her some dollars. She's having a rough night.
Let's go through.
You're right. They all are stripper names. Evil-Lyn.
Did you notice that a household microwave was able to stop their radar systems?
Oh yeah,
that was amazing.
But then they were able to blow it up remotely.
Yes.
Which I don't understand the device.
Guys, if you don't remember your Nokia 8260, it was a great phone. Okay, and it had it had remote powers.
I've actually said everything on this. Get out of here. I've said it all.
Do you have the power, Ben?
I have the power. Let's see what other sound clips. Even how he yells that is awkward.
Yeah.
I have the power.
It's
sort
of
such
like
a weird.
It's like a man trying to speak a second language, which is what it was.
It would be like me trying to play He-Man in Portuguese or something. I would be terrible at it.
Yo soy power.
Yo soy fuego. That means I am fire.
I don't speak Portuguese.
Yeah, so
I clearly
the only thing
Spanish
close enough to Portuguese we could get is Spanish.
In Italian, it'd be like He-Man would be like something uomo. Right.
The only thing I know in Italian is from the trailer of Captain Corelli's Mandolin, where Nicolas Cage goes, "Bella bambino, 12 o'clock." And I was like, what? Why did he say 12 o'clock?
Jonathan,
I never saw that movie.
Can you look up, Jonathan, can you look up what I have the power is in Portuguese for us?
Bella bambino, 12 o'clock.
Google Translate.
What else do we have? We have some great.
We've got a couple. One or two that I want to show.
We got Jonathan working overtime.
We got Jonathan doing everything. Here we go. He's going to translate it. I have the power.
Tenho a forca.
Tenho a forca.
Yeah, you gotta do it like this. Tenho a forca.
What if we just mispronounced it and said something like "fuck your mother"? And it's like,
sorry guys, sorry to all of our Portuguese listeners.
Sorry, one of my best friends actually is from Brazil, so I apologize if I offended you.
We should have him call in and see what the power is, and he probably pronounce it correctly too instead of "entua porca."
Yeah,
entua porca. That's not what we say. What other sound clips do we have? Let's see.
D is a really good one from when Courteney Cox first is seen on screen.
I got a going away present for you, but it isn't wrapped.
Ooh.
I was like, it's one of those movies.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, when I was
I was waiting for this to happen.
I was 17, and I was working at a pool. In the summertime, and I fell in love with a local girl, and she was heading off to college, and I was going off my senior year in high school, and I was closing shift, and I was checking the levels on the chlorine and mopping up the bathroom, and she showed up, and she just had a towel on, and she said this.
I got a going away present for you, but it isn't wrapped.
And then she handed me a whistle. It was my whistle.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Because technically she was wrapped in a towel.
Yeah, she was in the towel. So
wouldn't make sense.
Wouldn't have been the towel.
She thought I could just hold on to the whistle, think of her forever.
It's actually, I heard it's a line in the new Magic Mike movie when they right before they introduce him, like, all right, ladies, coming to the stage. We got a going away present for you. It's closing time. Last call. And then
I got a going away present for you.
I guess I already said it.
You already said it.
Yeah.
I guess I already said it.
Well,
it's tough. It's such an overt line.
I do have a fun fact for you. When they were filming Scarface, they were trying to figure out that last scene, that really famous scene, and Al Pacino was trying a bunch of different ways, and they ended up going with "Say Hello to My Little Friend."
Yeah.
But the original idea was they were going to bust in, and he was going to open the jacket ahead of time, and then just before anyone saw it, he would say,
I got a going away present for you, but it isn't wrapped.
But it would have sounded more like,
I
got a going away present for you, but it isn't wrapped. But it isn't wrapped, motherfuckers. Hey,
That's a good Pacino. That's a really good Pacino.
You know what impressions I can do? The same ones that a shitty Vegas impressionist can do. I interviewed this guy once. I forgot his name. There's some Vegas impressionist I interviewed. I won't say his name because it'll be offensive. But
say it in Portuguese.
Gordy something. But I remember I was interviewing him and I was like, so what impressions can you do? And I was like, can you do as many as you can in a minute? He was like, no, fuck no, of course not. And I was like, what? That's like your job. And he goes, no, just do whatever I feel like. And then the interview, he's like, hey, like Stallone. And like, you're talking to me? You talking to me? Like, he did everything that every person on the planet can do an impression.
Or at least tries to.
A makeshift impression of.
And then he does Walken, and then he's Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. There's like 10 impressions. I actually wanted to do a video where it's like, 10 impressions that if you can do these does not mean you're good at impressions, because it's like it just means that every person does them.
Yeah.
And that's what Pacino is. He's got a fucking great ass, is what he... Doesn't he say that in the movie?
He does.
She's got a great ass.
Do Pacino, I have the power.
I have the power, motherfucker. Jesus.
I got another good quote for you.
What's it?
We'll move on to.
I'm glad I made up for my terrible improv in the with the sound bites.
Yeah, because that was awful. And Thad went out on a high note. George Costanza that right there.
So F is our next clip, but let me set this up real quick. So after they completely demolish the high school, where all of his music equipment is. They're setting up for the prom or something, everything, because they had a wooden stage.
Yeah, and she's leaving town before graduation.
She's leaving town because that's what you do.
Of course.
So they blow the whole thing up, and so Robert Duncan McNeil runs back to the place.
A.K.A. Kevin Corrigan.
Yes, a.k.a. Kevin Corrigan, a.k.a. Lieutenant Paris.
Sure.
Runs back there and tries to figure out where. I hated Voyager, but I do know that he was in it. So anyways, he gets there and he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and he sees the janitor guy who was. If you didn't notice, the janitor guy was still wearing his Letterman jacket, which is really depressing.
Yes.
Really depressing.
I didn't notice that, but yeah, that's real sad.
Yeah, real sad. Yeah. Real sad.
It was good times.
So he runs up to him, and he's on a stretcher, and they're loading him into the ambulance, and this is what happens.
You don't never want to know.
He asked him what happened.
Never want to know.
He asked him what happened. He goes, you don't never want to know. And
I could have won the championship back in '83.
He wasn't even talking about the explosion in the school hall. He was talking about his good old days when he was a quarterback.
Now, weirdly enough, I don't know.
You don't never want to know.
Now, weirdly enough, I don't know if people know this about you, Ben Begley. and I believe Thad worked on the set of one of your Hallmark movies.
One of my 75 that I've done.
Yeah, and I believe
Craft
this one.
services.
Yeah, okay, and I believe this one was called Love, Love, Big Time Love.
Big Time Love.
And
it's about two formerly overweight people.
Yes, right. Yeah. And it's the end of the movie, and they've just saved the world, but they've seriously injured themselves, and they've lost a lot of weight, and they're in love, and they're holding hands, and an FBI agent who's been tracking the case the whole time comes in. What happened? I missed everything, and you said right to the camera, right before credits rolled.
You don't never want to know.
And I believe you were nominated for a couple of awards for that, right?
A couple of awards.
Emmy?
The Daytime Emmy. Susan Lucci won over me, though, which is really
tough.
She finally got it, though.
Yeah. Now, were you dressing in drag so that you were nominated in the female?
No, she's just, a masculine person. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. That's the only daytime person I could think of was Susan Lucci. But you know what? Actually, when I was in Coachella, I don't know if you know, the porta potty situation there is pretty awful. And you kind of just put a cork in it for the whole time.
Land of heathens.
And I went in, and right before I went in, there's this waft of smell that came out, and the guy just looked at me, and he was like,
"You don't never want to know."
And it was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad.
I mean, I think the entire arcade fire shat in that porta potty, and that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's like a clown car.
It's like, but they're so adorable.
No smoke. That was all arcade fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
see what I did there?
Hey. That's a great fucking joke.
Yeah.
I just want to keep yelling like
I believe
Pacino.
Blur went in right after them and played song number 2.
They dropped song number 2.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh my God.
Oh man.
But do we have any? Oh, the native clothing one's a good one.
Go ahead.
This is Gwildor at his most annoying.
Look! Native clothing. Lots of it. All over the place.
There's also a
like
EKG
no one will recognize it.
What the hell is that?
It's so annoying. He comes out in like the worst disguise ever. It's they just went to
he looks like E.T. with the
it was a rip off of the E.T. thing. Yeah. He's wearing the big sunglasses and the feather boa.
I just thought there was a photo booth nearby, and he just grabbed a bunch of props and walked over. Native clothing. Look. If we disguise like this, no one will see.
And they never go to the they never say where they're going to end up for the portal. They're never like, oh, this is Earth. What is Earth? We've never been to this Earth place. It's like, no, via the key we can just pinpoint via GPS, via Google Maps, where exactly you are in the universe. It doesn't matter the planet or whatever. This is where
There's
you are.
There's very little explained in this movie.
Well, when they go into the big map room in Eternia to find, I still don't know how to pronounce it.
I love that you keep saying it differently.
It's different every time. When they're in the map room in that place, they're looking at the radar screen, and it's like, your standard radar look, and it starts zooming in, and it ends up with just a satellite image of a house at the end, covered in like a green like mask.
And that's the best part, where they're like, we haven't pinpointed it exactly yet, and that's when they do the same thing, and they're at the school. They pinpoint it to the school, and they're like, close enough, and I'm like, of course it's close enough. It's the exactly fucking building. It's exactly where it was. Like, we can't wait any longer. What did you want to like?
Oh, you Eternians! Yeah.
How much closer could they possibly got?
I like
maybe they were gonna grapple hook the thing and just go.
You know what the best part of Eternia is that there's humans, there's a Skeletor guy, there's a wolf man, there's a lizard guy,
and they don't explain any of it.
That is basically a Sagat ripoff from Street Fighter.
Oh yeah.
And there's random species of bounty hunters that are just gonna get it.
And then apparently beautiful women that like bald older men.
God,
yeah. And then He-Man's sword goes into some weird kind of like computer slide thing.
What was that? Was that a toy? Was that a toy?
I don't remember.
There's always lights going off that are like beep, boop, boop, beep.
Yeah, it's just like that's your. I would expect it to be something like ancient, like it goes into like a stone that's like part of Eternia's Earth, or like the fabric of its environment. But then this was
Thor,
like,
what's that thing that the Allspar?
No, that's
the
Tesseract.
The Tesseract,
which is also very similar to this movie in terms of like the aliens coming down to Earth and
right.
But that's the thing. It's like they plug it into like what looks like it's sort of a weird kind of arcade machine, and it's like beep boop beep boop beep boop, and then he turns into gold what you said, the Big Trouble in Little China Skeletor.
Oh, that part. It just comes like, I'm bigger and better with way more fucking brass.
But then he
doesn't.
He fights terribly still.
Yeah.
The only thing he can do is shoot electricity like Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
But miss everything
every time.
And whenever he shoots his electricity on Earth, it poisons people.
Yeah.
It poisons their leg.
That was a pretty gross wound.
That was a really gross wound.
Maybe the most realistic makeup in the movie. It was Courtney Cox's
which is a
leg.
low bar.
Yeah.
But it was very gross. I actually know why the combination of the ancient stuff with the technological beep boop beeps.
Beep boop beeps.
Beep boop beeps. That's what they're called.
The beep boop beeps.
Yeah. They were going. There was another. I don't think they actually filmed this either. I think all the deleted scenes they just cut the script because it was way too much money. Yeah. But there was a quote deleted scene that at the end someone was going to bring up like a flag that they had in their archives. And it was going to be an American flag from like a NASA mission from like the 22nd century or something. And so what the big twist was, Eternia was actually
the moon.
It was actually like explored by future humans and conquered by future humans. So
what?
And then they got rid of that because that made no fucking sense.
Oh, that's like a weird Planet of the Apes ripoff.
Yeah,
but makes way less sense.
Way less sense.
I can't even wrap my brain around how they would justify that.
And nor would they even try because
it would just happen and you'd just be like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Listen, okay, I'm in the school of too much exposition gets boring, but not enough exposition. That's where we are in this movie. Not enough exposition.
Like not telling you the names of the characters until about 30 minutes in.
Woman at Arms.
If you didn't know who Ski Man, if you didn't know who He-Man, Ski Man, that's his rap. That's a ski.
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I had a sword.
I wish I had a shirt that covered all my nipples. No, but it's like
all of them. Both of them.
The Begleys, it's a long
7
line
nipples.
of crazy nipple family.
And we're like, cows. Cows have udders. I don't know what I'm saying. But no, it's just if you didn't know who He-Man was or Skeletor, you would have no clue what's going on in this movie for the first 30 minutes.
I genuinely paused the movie and like started looking at IMDb to make sure I was watching the right movie and that I wasn't watching the sequel. Because I was like, is this an exact spin-off of the TV show? I was really confused.
Well, they glossed over it, and the movie was. I mean, listen, if you're looking for a movie that is a guilty movie pleasure, this is definitely guilty. I don't know how much pleasure you're going to get out of it, but I certainly got a lot of pleasure out of it when I was 5.
Oh yeah,
and I was able to watch the whole thing, but it wasn't like it was definitely boring, like you said. The special effects were terrible, the acting was brutal, but overall, the comedy I got from it on a whole wasn't the level of comedy of per se a Sour Patch Kids. What did we watch?
Garbage Pail Kids.
Garbage Pail Kids. Or the comedy involved in Cyborg, because that movie's just so terribly bad. It's hysterical.
This is better than
this is better than that. But if you guys are going out and you want to see what they did and look forward to a possible reboot, I think that this movie, has some redeeming qualities.
And if you want to see a terrible version of Star Wars, just
just
with a shirtless Luke Skywalker.
Way more ripped, shirtless Swedish Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, just watch Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe.
It's worth it for Tila alone.
Yes. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Josh Macuga and see my show Between the Sheets, youtube.com/BetweenTheSheetsTV. Thad is a producer, editor, director of the show.
And you should watch it anyways.
It's a good time. At Ben Begley Comedy.
Yes.
And you guys obviously know all of his movies on Lifetime.
You can also, benbegley.com. I have a website.
Oh, benbegley.com.
I made it on Weebly. It's very
I had nothing to do with it.
No, not that. That's why if you look at my web series websites that he made and then my shitty homemade website.
Go check out the web series that Ben Begley has done. There's one called Clueless that his wife wrote, and he was a star in it. Clueless. It's really, really funny. Thad designed the website for that.
www.clued, as in CLUEDLESS.com.
And then 24 Minutes.
Which is all spelled out, 24 minutes spelled out words.
And it's a spoof on 24, and it takes place in Burbank, and it is absolutely hysterical.
It's a spot for shot parody.
We did, we did 24 episodes of it, and it was a blast.
Oh man, it's so fun. Talented guys. Dad, thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
being on the show.
Thanks for coming.
I love friend of the show coming in whenever. And I guess until the next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its